All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another AMA here on the Polygon Discord. Thanks so much for joining in today. We are speaking with Symbiosis, which is a cross-chain engine and liquidity protocol, and we have Nick from the Symbiosis team here with us today. How are you doing, Nick?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yep. Hi, thanks for having me today. It's a great honor to have a session with Polygon community because we really love Polygon and actually Deep, the founder of Polygon, is one of our backer, very earliest backer. So we are deep into Polygon ecosystem. Happy to be here and happy to present what we do at Symbiosis, what we've done so far, and what's our plans for the 2023.
Yeah, awesome. The feeling's mutual. Really excited to have you here. If you could just speak like more directly into your mic, I think that would be great. We'd all be able to hear you a little better. But yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, I'd love it if you could give a little bit more insight into your background, who you are. Um, what's your backstory? What were you doing before crypto? What got you into the space, and ultimately like working on Symbiosis?
Sure, sure. Just before diving deep into like myself, let me just briefly share my screen, and I'll be doing like the swap. Uh, like the primary thing that we are doing in Symbiosis is swapping tokens from chain A to chain B. Just users need to click just one time, and they need to go with the swap from A tokens from BNB, for instance, to Polygon, so on and so forth. But since it takes some time, like after 1 minute, I'll share my screen. We'll be doing a swap, and then comment upon this once we are done. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so that's like a brand new interface of Symbiote, which is released quite recently. Let me just put to just really small amount here to make a swap from BNB into Matic. And as I said, we do this in just one click. And yeah, I just need to switch between wallets. So I click swap, and I just need to send transaction on BNB chain, and then the swap will be done. So we'll get Matic in my wallet, and I will show you when the transaction is done. While this magic is happening, as I said, it takes like up to 1 minute typically. Let me briefly explain what I'm about, what's my background, and so on and so forth. So I've been working in the crypto space in 2016. First, I come with academic background because I did a master thesis on the use of blockchain technology and logistics and supply chain management in Institute in University Madrid. It's a business school in Madrid. And there, so I composed a master thesis on the use of blockchain technology and logistics. It was 2016. This year of pumping ICO, so on and so forth. I've been working in the ad agency, Cyprus-based ad agency. At that time, I encountered the particular demand for the marketing into like crypto space, and that's how my transition from strictly speaking marketing and advertising job at the crypto come. For a couple of years I've been working with different blockchain startups. I worked in Israeli-based VC fund, real estate VC fund. So I was also from the other side, so not just as a project manager, not just as a co-founder, but also as a person who wants to invest money into projects. And then 2 years ago, we, together with close friends, come up with the idea of Symbiosis and started doing this. So, and we are here now. Yeah, that's my background. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. That's incredible. So yeah, I think Symbiosis is a really powerful application. I'm curious how it all works. Like, how does like what's going on in the back end to make these cross chain transactions possible?
Yeah, sure. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know whether you hear me or not.
Yeah, I can hear you, and we can see your screen.
Oh, cool. Sorry. So yeah, the thing is how all this clutching magic works. So we started doing our code base in January 2020 and developed it shortly in 2021 as well. The idea is that we are routing transactions to existing DEXs. In that sense, we are facilitating what QuickSwap and some other DEXs has already been doing quite a while. So we are not competing with the on-chain DEXs on each specific blockchain network. But instead, we route transactions to existing DEXs, and then we have stable pools in the middle so that we can exchange between two stables. So that in case of this transaction that I just did, you can see it on my screen. So what I did, I swapped BNB and thematic directly with just one click. I don't need to sign two transactions on Sword chain destination chain. I don't need to pay gas fees on Sword chain destination chain, just on the Sword chain. So the thing is that what I naturally do, I went to using 1 inch router. I went to pick up the best price across different dexes, and I ended up at most probably Pancake, and then I exchanged BNB into BUSD. Then on the Matic side, on the Polygon side, I exchanged between BUSD and USDC on Polygon, and then finally swapped it into Matic and sent it to the user. So from user perspective, and I can actually can show my wallet balance here. So I just received Polygon here, and it's here. So with just one single click, I performed the swap from one chain to another chain. And this magic that we can do, it's not just only related to EVM compatible networks, but also to non-EVM compatible chains. So we'll be adding short near, then we also can drop this and some others. So the idea that is to provide a secure and yet seamless experience for users and businesses, because we also have our API and SDK, so they can help wallets, dashboards, aggregators, and some other players in the market, like NFT marketplaces, to have pretty much the same functionality. And with just ease as like grabbing your food from grocery store via Uber Eats or some others. So that we want to provide pretty much the same experience to Web3 that users already have in Web2, like as I said, in ride headings, in grocery store delivery, and so on and so forth. So that this experience, I believe, will drive the next wave of adoption Web3. So it's not should be complicated. So our motto is cross-chain or interoperability or I don't know metaverse. It should not be complicated for the end user. It should be easy, secure, cheap, and efficient. So that's what we do.
Great. So in regards to how the liquidity routing works, if when I make a swap, so is it like a combination of you guys like aggregate different swap routes and you also have your own liquidity? Like, are users able to provide liquidity on Symbiosis?
Yes, correct. So we mostly routing for existing on-chain dexes, but we have our own liquidity to process cross-chain swaps. So in that sense, we are not aggregator on our own. Uh, Quite instead, what we do is that we are helping users to pick up the best price across different dexes, but provide cross-chain swaps. So some existing cross-chain aggregators like Rubik Finance, V Exchange, ChainSwap, Rango, they are using Symbiosis under the hood as one of the options to process the swap, like multi-chain and several others. But yes, we do have our own liquidity, and we invite users to provide liquidity as well. That's it. That's the thing. That's the idea.
Wow, those that's awesome. I'm wondering if you'd like you mentioned some pretty key partners there. I'm wondering if you'd want to elaborate a little bit further on the key partnerships you have at Symbiosis and why they're like significant for you guys. I think your mic's muted.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Just wanted to say that yes, a few partners that we already have. So we partnered with the Opera crypto browser and will be integrating into Opera crypto browser shortly. Also among them, Rubik Finance, the Exchange, ChainSwap, Rango. We're in talks with Lee Finance and Socket as well. Plus, on top of this, we are also in discussion with OpenOcean. It's one of the biggest on-chain aggregators in that sense, competing with 1inch, for instance. And so we'll be working with them as well. I think that the
Ты
integration
вообще по-русски говоришь?
will come in Q1 next year.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've actually done an AMA with Open Ocean. I'm a big fan of that project, and you listed a couple others that I'm a big fan of as well. So that's really exciting. It sounds like you guys are making some major moves in the DeFi space. Um, One thing I'm curious about, and typically everyone that listens to these is always wondering, is when token. I know that's kind of a cheesy question, but do you guys have your own token or any plans to release a token? Why or why not?
Yes, we do. We do have our token. Actually, first we introduced it think last year, so it's live for more than 1 year. Unfortunately, it's dropping price recently due to all the spikes in market. Yes, but we have our own token, and it has utility in terms of that we incentivize users to provide liquidity, and in return for that, we yes, rewarding them with our tokens. Plus, various network nodes that are actually processing swaps within Symbiosis. So all the various network nodes have to take some amount of our token, and in exchange for this processing swaps, we are also providing the rewards with our token. We also planning to make some more improvement on utility of our token next year, especially with some rebates for wallets and the dashboard who will be integrating Symbiosis. Plus, we at some point we are also planning to maybe set up our own mobile wallet with embedded Symbiosis, and in that sense, it will have also in this mobile wallet there will be some rewards paid in SAS token as well. So we have pretty detailed roadmap for token utilization. We haven't yet published it yet. Honestly, we are going to do this first week or the next year so that people can be hyped about this, I would say.
Awesome. Another thing I think that's really important to talk about is just like bridge security in general and like how that plays into Symbiosis because over the past year I think a large chunk of the exploits within the DeFi industry were bridges, and I know that a lot of bridges have different ways of operating. Like there's different ways to build a bridge. Different projects do it differently. I'm curious how it works specifically on Symbiosis, and how is it secure compared to like others that have been exploited.
Yes, for sure. So we don't use something that haven't been tested before. So in that sense, we are using MVC library, first developed by Binance. And so in nutshell, we have MPC coupled with threshold signature schemes. So in each particular moment of time, no exact node possesses the whole key. So the private key is split into several parts, and the consensus of node can decide on whether to actually with this particular transaction should be put into batch and is valid or not. So that's the idea. But apart from this, we also have crypto incentive model so that all US network nodes, those who participate in our consensus and who are actually running Symbiosis, they have to stake some amount of our SAS token once again. This amount is proportional to the volume this channel can actually handle. And in that sense, there is no particular reason to try to cheat out the system because it's actually about slash staking and slashing, so this nodes will be slashed. Besides, to put somehow this on straight rails, we first invited our existing investors like Binance, Labs, like Blockchain.com, Shima Capital, the more to be US network node. And so far, we operated in two-part node until very recently, until last week, because last week we presented iOS version 2, which is like a second version of our protocol. So first version was launched in March this year, and second version launched just last week. And we will be increasing the number of. Currently, we have about 15 nodes. Before that, in full authority mode, we had 15 nodes available, and like most of them were nodes of our investors. But then in this second version, we have a slight transition from just proof of working to pure proof of stake mode, so that more participants can come and actually run a node for Symbiosis. And then we will be increasing at first, we will be increasing number of nodes to 50, and then maybe slightly to 100. And we'll be inviting participants from our community, other backers that we have, as well as ecosystem players like Polygon ecosystem fund, like Avalanche, so on and so forth, to actually participate in Symbiosis node running, and that in in a sense, we believe that that makes a lot of sense for the community because they know that the node runners are trustworthy and that they can rely on this and the whole protocol is trustful. And also, last but not least, we've been audited by Zokyo, by Anita, by Slow Mist with the Asian Department for Patch and we are planning to have at least one audit before any major update. So last time, like last week before we released version 2, those who had been audited by Zokyo, our primary partner, but all those releases that will be have in coming month, like new network settings, increased transaction outputs, and so on and so forth, transaction volume, sorry, all this will be highly audited. So we treat security a lot. Our chief security officer he has been working for Rakuten. It's one of the biggest Japanese conglomerate, IT conglomerate. And he has been working with Rakuten for almost 67 years. We hired them from here. And so, yeah, we treat security a lot. We know that the different breaches been hacked for like last year, before this year, like wormhole, everybody aware of what else? Like different bridges being hacked, but we do our best to secure this as much as we can.
That's great to hear. That's really reassuring. That you're taking security so seriously. Um, One thing I'm curious about is, do you guys generate revenue, and if so, how does Symbiosis generate revenue?
Yeah, so more primarily, we are not a transaction business, even though we do transactions between swapping from one chain to another chain, etc. But it's all about tokenomics. So we are planning to put some proceeds of the transaction volume that we have into buyback of our token, so that to keep up the price and to make like our investors and community happy. But yeah, generally we generate some profits from some revenue from transactions that users do. The transaction fee is like pretty small. It's like 0.01%, but we are fine with it because we are still hungry. We want to outcompete different players on this market, like the biggest one like Bounty and Zeta, because we provide far better rate for the end user than some of them does. Yeah, and so the ultimate idea is that we'll be putting some of the proceeds into the buyback program for the token, and that's how we want to live, how we want to work in Frontier Force. Plus, at some point, we'll be mostly be charging some integration fee from like wallets and stuff, but now like we do that just for free. So we neither do no revenue share, no integration fee from all those partners that we have. So all those partners are like Ruby and so on and so forth. They are putting some proxy contract of our smart contract in order to like generate some revenue themselves, but we do not charge them anything for this. And that's how we want to work, and that's how we want to like make, and that's what sets us apart from and makes us stand out the crowd.
Awesome, awesome. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I noticed that you have a voting escrow version of your token. I'm wondering if you'd mind explaining what that is and what its purpose is within Symbiosis.
Yes, for sure. So as with like similar programs like with both ESCOs, here we talk about First Protocol. This is all to add additional, let's say, incentivization for holders of SAS tokens to actually hold it. And recently we've had about, I think, almost 15% of SAS token, not 15%, sorry, about 10% of total tokens supply being locked in world as concept, which is, I would say that that's a great sign for our community because in a way it seems like our community will be like feels that we can deliver in a long run, not just in a short term, and that's great. We are deeply happy about this. We launched World as Consensus, I think, in September, and as I said, we also planning a bunch of new incentivization models for SAS token in the coming year. with most probably, with, as I said, releasing our own wallet as well. So we'll be picking up some transaction commissions from those, and we'll be rewarding SAS token holders with this proceeds. So yeah, that's the idea. The idea to play in the long run.
That's huge. That's incredible. So um, I'm curious, what chains does Symbiosis support, and why do you choose to support those chains? And is there like plans to expand to additional chains? Like, what's I don't know, what blockchains is Symbiosis focusing on? I guess is the question I'm trying to ask. Hello? All right, I think Nick's just having some issues with his mic.
Yeah. Yes, so
One
right,
second.
right, just a connection problem.
No worries. Glad to have you back.
Oh, you did ask some questions, or yeah, because I
Yeah,
missed it.
yeah. I was curious, what blockchains is Symbiosis focused on supporting?
So far, we are working on 8 networks. So we have Ethereum, Polygon, BNB, Avalanche, Meta, Telos, Aurora, and Boba network as well. So and with Boba, we have even like entire, I would say, collaboration. Because recently we also added not just Boba itself, but also L2s, like Boba rollups on other networks that we have, like Avalanche, for instance, and we are planning to have some more activities with them as well. And actually, we are trying not to limit ourselves to the number of networks that we have. At the same time, we are planning to leverage not just quantity but instead quality. So we don't want to add like 20 networks in a row. Instead, we will be picking up those partners that we want to add. Book more of them. So naturally, we start with just as small number of networks as four, and Polygon was one of the categories because we really believe that Polygon would be like having it's already big, one of the biggest networks, and we believe that it will be even bigger given all those efforts that Polygon Foundation does. So we are planning to add some network that is still planning to have their heyday in the next year, like especially non-EVMs. We are closely in talks with Aptos and Sui. So Aptos is already live. Sui will be live in, I think, first quarter of next year, maybe January. So we'll be working closely with them and see either in particular demand for adding this network from either our partners or our community members. At the end of the day, the idea is just as simple as it is. So the thing is, we want to make sure that Symbiosis provides a service to users to move assets across different chains in a seamless way. And the user can suffice all of your needs within just simple interface, and which is also important in a secure way and in just one click. So no need to switch between different wallets, play around different interfaces, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so we will be adding definitely more networks and non-EVMs, and hopefully at some point, I just wanna my personal like statement about using Symbiosis is that we want to like create a sort of interoperability layer for the Web3, like TCP/IP protocol that is transfer have like TCP/IP transfer layer for the internet as we know it. And if at some point Symbiosis can become like a transportation, second transportation layer for Web3, going beyond just swapping, but also into general message passing, that's our ultimate goal. That's what we are building.
That's incredible. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is very beneficial for the entire like Web3 space. Really making everybody's lives easier, and it's very um, composable, interoperable, kind of multi-chain. engine. I like it a lot. I'm curious. How did you come up with the branding, or I don't know? Could you explain like if there's any meaning behind the branding? Because I think the brand Symbiosis is really cool. You guys have a great logo. Is there any meaning behind it?
Yeah, that's interesting point. So the idea is that first we wanted to, so we come up with this idea of octopus, and the thing was that we wanna, like octopus have different tentacles. We want to share this idea of playing around with different networks, different ASINs, and so on and so forth. So that was at least an inspiration for our logo, for our visual communication, for our branding, and so on and so forth. And then at the same time, so in the first version of the, some of those, like we call our early days, we tried to make it like 8-bit in 8-bit statistics, so it somehow resembles very early days of the internet. But then we decided to come up with a sort of narrative or a story, and now our website and we will be trying to use this in our visual communication. That's it's more about like a comics or about a story, so that we have a symbol and it describes its path and it sets its path into the Web3 and so on and so forth. So that we don't want to be just a sort of like yet another technological company without a face, without human face and so on and so forth. We want to be a friendly, like partner, friendly pole to all those who want to work in the Web3, and we want to help them not just with those like functionality that we currently build on our website, but also with those developer tools that we're also doing. So we like present our SDK, JavaScript SDK for browser extensions, and also mobile for mobile applications. We present our API and we'll be presenting more tools. So we are trying not just to supply the needs of the end users in our website or in our partners applications like MPA mode, but also to provide tools and grants for developers to build something on top of Symbiosis. And all of this is somehow reflected in our visual communication and our friendly office. The sort of like, as I said, a Paul, friend, those who want to make their work in web.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. I'm curious. Do you have any ideas or as to what people might build on top of Symbiosis? Like, is there anything specific that you envision or would love to see?
Mhm. Yes, for sure. So, first approximation of what I see is that since Symbiosis in a nutshell is doing like swaps, so with swap control, it's sort of an exchange, decentralized exchange, not just a bridge, but fully fledged decentralized exchange. What can be built on top of exchange if you can easily exchange one ASIC to another ASIC? First thing that comes to my mind is the payment system or payment network or whatever. So any merchant can install. It needs some tailoring. So Symbiosis SDK directly is not suitable for this, but with some sort of like minimal improvement, any merchant can install a plugin on your website, adding Shopify or to Magento, and accept payments in crypto, regardless whether the user paid in each particular token. So you can take an example. The user paid in the user has at her hand like I don't know some token on Polygon, for instance, and the merchant typically they prefer accepting payments in stable coins because like that's easier to count, that's easier for accounting and so on and so forth. And in that sense, and the user still wants to provide payment in this like altcoins and some token, random token on Polygon. And with help of Symbiosis, this instant conversion is done with just seamless way in just one click so that merchant receives stablecoin on her side, and the user takes product, gets product that he or she wants, and that makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Um, yeah, that's really cool. So you're saying like potentially like you could build a Shopify payment plugin using Symbiosis?
Right.
Did I catch that correctly?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, you're saying you could essentially like build some kind of payment method for Shopify using Symbiosis. Is that did I hear that correctly?
Yes, exactly, sir. So that's one of the approximations that we can do. Another one is instant purchasing of NFTs with any token, regardless whether this particular NFT is minted on this blockchain or another blockchain network. So that I mentioned, the NFT is minted on Polygon, but the user doesn't have like Polygon user only have like, I don't know, some BNB or Ethereum, and still he or she wants to purchase this NFT. This actually can be done using our SDK, so without like additional tailoring and so on and so forth. So that's pretty easy.
Oh, wow, that'd be really cool. So, I'll like give a hypothetical scenario. So, say I'm selling a NFT on Polygon. If I configure the mint using your SDK, I could potentially have it so that even though the NFT minting is on Polygon, people from like Avalanche or Binance Smart Chain or Boba or Aurora could all mint, even though their money isn't on Polygon.
Yes, that's the thing. So we believe that this could help to like the people easily manage not just their financial wealth, like swapping tokens between different chains, but also make a good way for more non-financial applications of the crypto and Web3. Because I believe that the next big wave, because what we saw like in if coming like in philosophical discussions, what we saw before with the first wave of like adoption with 2016, 17, we have this ICO era. So people raise money. So the primary use case was fundraising. Then in 2020, 2021, we saw the uprise of DeFi, decentralized services that somehow replicating the pretty much the same logic that that the banking, traditional banking system has. So we saw lending protocols growing, so on and so forth, like perpetuals, and so on and so forth. And then, and it worked out, and it worked out much better than centralized services, especially given what happened to FTX and Alameda recently. And everybody aware that even though I see that the regulation would be even higher, like even shrinking on crypto, but it's not like our fault. It's not fault of DeFi. It's fault of centralized services, and it's better to talk to centralized exchanges in that sense. But what I believe is that the next wave of DeFi would be related not to financial services per se. So it can be related to just non-financial services like social networks, like some mobility, I don't know, knowledge exchange, and so on and so forth. In that sense, NFTs can play their role even bigger. So it would be not only about this fancy, I don't know, monkey images or about like some mobile NFTs or so on and so forth. It can be about certificates or like imagine Coursera providing their certificates in NFT way so that you can actually verify that you graduated from this particular university, you get this course, and then you can apply for a job because your employer will accept this as a sort of proof that you actually have this knowledge. And that's great. That's amazing. And I believe that this would could actually be like a big game change in the space. And I believe that with this new mechanics, we, we can see the next wave of crypto adoption. And this I want to say that at Symbiosis, we just want to like somehow shape some angle of this transformation, at least from our angle where we can do this.
Yeah. Um, that's huge. Um, very innovative. I want to mention that if anybody has any questions for Nick, well, we're lucky enough to have him here. Make sure to drop them in the text channel, um, and we'll make sure to ask them. Also, I've dropped a POAP form, so if anybody would like a proof of attendance protocol NFT to commemorate their attendance here, just punch in your wallet address on the form. I'll make sure you get one. They look pretty cool because Symbiosis has a great logo. It's awesome. Um, and I'm curious, Nick, what is next in store for Symbiosis? Like, what are your goals? What's next on the roadmap? What can we expect in future from Symbiosis?
So yes, sorry, I was on mute. So as I said, we are planning to have some more networks being added into Symbiosis. So we will be working closely with different foundations, especially with those that haven't yet had traction in DeFi specifically, like for instance Cardano and Algorand, they're still making their first move into this. They already have some dexes and so on and so forth, but they are not like connected to the whole DeFi ecosystem because they are non EVM compatible. They have some EVM compatible like side chains, like Milkomeda does one. But we believe that working with those foundations, they at least they prove to be like um, anti-fragile in turbulent times in 2016, 17, in 2020, 21, and now. Even with the market crash, they are still like keep on developing. That's what really inspires me. So our first goal is to work with teams to keep on developing instead of marketification. So in that sense, just narrowing what we want to do. So we'll be adding more networks. We will also present some products that we ourselves so built on within Team that are built on top of Symbiosis, but are not like limited to use of Symbiosis. One of the products is built on an Axel network, and it uses Symbiosis as one of the components. And this was developed by part of the team. And we also providing some grants to developers to develop like aggregation services and some more use cases for Symbiosis. We did some grants like last year, and we'll keep on doing this. So ultimate goal is to evolve into a sort of industry standard for the structured communication. When we first had this idea of Symbiosis, when we did raise last year and so on, so forth, I always teach this as a sort of we want to make the industry standard in blockchain communication. That's why we are going into this direction. So we'll be announcing more partnerships with aggregators, with wallets, and so on and so forth, so that the thing is we want to just be everywhere, in every single wallet, in every single dashboard, and so on and so forth. I think that most of the 2023 will be dedicated to this goal, and I'll be making sure that our business development team, marketing, and so on, as well as developers, actually, we all going into the same direction.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really exciting. I think you guys have a very bright future. I'm curious, what is the best way for listeners to get involved with Symbiosis?
Yes, so naturally, would be happy if you can play around our interface and try to make a swap from any token on chain A to any token on chain B and swap. In case I will invite all our listeners to swap all those tokens that they have on other networks into Polygon one, because we really love Polygon and the influx of liquidity on Polygon. I believe is what we actually need to do. Then we have a form for collecting feedback and bug bounty program. So in case you're a developer or white hat hacker, if you find some vulnerability, please let us know so that we can actually improve our protocol and you get rewarded for this naturally. Because we have this bounty program with Immunify 100K for this. And let us know in case you have some particular questions on our Telegram channel or on Twitter Spaces or whatever. So we'll be happy to answer. Me personally, I'm typically answering like within a couple of hours because working 24/7 to make this thing work actually. Yeah, and also we have a liquidity incentivization program. So in case you're interested in provide liquidity, uh, you can provide liquidity in stables and get rewarded in SAS token. At some point, we will be also adding liquidity incentivization in stables itself once we grow in volume, so that we haven't yet done this because like we don't want to compete with Curve because it's not our primary business. We still want to make swaps and not lending protocol, yet another lending protocol. But we are planning to do this as well. Yes, and let us know in case you have some ideas for potential collaboration. So in case you have projects or teams or building something that can be somehow connected with Symbiosis in some way or another, also let us know. You will be also rewarded into to have a successful integration.
Awesome, awesome. I'm curious, is there anything that you wanted to cover today that you haven't already had the chance to?
I think that most of the thing already covered. Like we discussed that we recently had like release of this version 2. I think from the standpoint of strategy and what where we are going, also pretty much covered. Yeah, I just want to say once again thank you for letting me have this today. Would be happy to move along with the Polygon team and we'll make some announcements about like deeper partnerships and so forth. So since as I said, Sandeep is one of our earliest backers, and we're having conversations with him like almost every week, and he is advising a lot. And thanks to him for this. Yeah, would be happy to update your community in a couple of let's say 2 to 3 months on our progress on adding more networks and more functionality and so on and so forth. And yeah, we'll be happy to and open for any comments, suggestions to how to make our protocol even more like efficient.
Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely think this AMA was very comprehensive. It was a really good overview of everything Symbiosis, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to doing another AMA like 2 or 3 months down the line to you know get all the updates and just go over this again with the Polygon community. I think that would be fun to do because this is a really significant project that's going to make a significant impact in the Web3 space, I think. So yeah, I'm really excited about your future, very bullish on it, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to speak with you today, Nick. Thank you so much for coming out and speaking with the
Thanks so
Polygon
much,
community.
sir. Thanks so much, sir.
All right. I hope you have. I hope everyone has great holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you so much for attending the AMA today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. All right. Bye now.